All right, guys, welcome back to another episode of Get Rich or Get Drunk Trying. I want to welcome leading stock and investment expert Teri Ijeoma to the show. She is the founder of the #1 selling trade and travel online course, where she teaches you and me to supplement your daily, weekly, or monthly income with trading so you can live your best life. Welcome, Teri.
Hey, Asia, thank you so much for having me. I'm so glad to be here.
I'm so thrilled that you're here. You're tapping in with us all the way from beautiful Puerto Rico. It's the life you deserve. So when we talk about trade and travel, you're living it as we speak, because I'm sure you're working a little bit and playing a little bit on that trip, right?
Yes, ma'am. I've been looking at my stocks all day, watching the market go up and down, and now I'm here with you. It's been a good day.
With a beautiful beach view. What a time to be alive.
You know it is, girl. You know it is.
Y'all, it's time for y'all to learn how to get down, how to trade and travel. We're going to get all into that. But for the people who don't know Teri, you started out as a youth pastor and a school principal. How does one go from those jobs to multimillionaire entrepreneur? Give us a little backstory.
So, quick backstory is I learned about trading and investing in high school and then went to MIT and actually interned on Wall Street. So,
Okay, so you smart.
a little bit, girl, a little bit.
We love to see it. Okay,
Oh,
perfect.
so I had known about investing and I went this whole other route for my career. I went into education with Teach for America, and then I went into ministry and helped an after school program with ministry. Then, like you said, last job was assistant principal of an elementary school. But that whole time, as a side hustle since 2010, I had been trading stocks to supplement my income. So, girl, it got to a point where I was at the school and I was like, nah, this ain't it. This just
Okay,
this just ain't it.
these
Like,
badass kids.
girl, it was the administration, the principals, the kids, the
The
parents,
parents.
everything. And it was one of those
Mhm.
things where I was miserable, but I was gonna just make it work. Like I felt like, you know what, I'm here, I can do this. Like I'm gonna prove to them that I deserve to be here. And then my friend died. And it was just like, you know what? Life is way too short to be in this job that I hate, to be miserable every day, to be crying in the bathroom. Like me and the other assistant principal, we would take turns crying in the bathroom. So life is too short for that. So I started
Ooh,
using stocks as an exit strategy and just trading so I could just make $300 a day at the time to replace my income.
that is crazy. First of all, how do we get from MIT? I'm just, girl, you got a life. You have done some things. You have been some places. And the pay at these type of jobs, there's not a school principal on the planet making the type of money that any of us want to make to live the life that we want to live, right?
It's true. Well, and to tell you the truth, I could survive off of what I was making. At the time, I was making probably about 60,000. I won't even say probably. I was making 60,000.
Mm-hmm.
And I was living off of it. I was having a good life. I would hang out with my friends, go to the movies, but never in my mind would I imagine, oh, I could just fly here and go to the airport and just pick a destination and get on a yacht.
Right.
And those are things that I can do now, but I couldn't even fathom that at the time. I had a little savings. If my account was over $1,000 in the account, I thought I was doing
You
some
felt good
things.
about yourself,
Yes,
right?
like, oh, I got $1,000. Y'all can't tell me nothing.
Gotcha.
So
Oh man, what a difference.
so different. But you were asking me earlier about how I got from like MIT into that education sector. And
Yes.
at MIT, when you're in business school, they tell you, okay, you either go into Wall Street or you go into consulting. And I had gone into
Okay.
business consulting, and one of our clients was Teach for America. So when I wanted to do something different, they said, well, why don't you check out Teach for America, go work for them? And I started
Mm,
really getting passionate about helping kids have equal opportunities in education. So I think
got it.
that's been the thing for me. I've always been ministry minded. Like I've always been passionate about, helping people to learn about the Lord or helping kids to have
Mhm.
education. And I think it's because I grew up in a servant household. My mom was always in service and ministry. My grandmother was in service. She
You were used to it.
yeah, like and I think a lot of black people, that's what we see. We think the
Hmm.
heroes are the people that are teaching and the people that are serving and the ministers at church, and they don't make a lot, but they're the ones who have treasures in heaven. So
Ooh, Woo! Come on, somebody.
Right. So that's what I was going for. And that's all that I could imagine. But now I think the Lord has said, you know what? Actually, I've called you to more. The people that were actually serving the ministry and helping Jesus were women. They were serving out of their resources. And then you think about
Mhm.
like Solomon and all these people in the Bible who were wealthy and were helping people out of their wealth. There's a need for people to have money in order to push initiatives forward.
Amen. Okay, that's the best amen I could give. And we're going to talk about money and religion and people's money blocks later in this episode. Don't you worry, that is coming. I think before we get into it now, I know that you are a follower, but does a follower enjoy a beverage? Can you give me the get drunk cocktail of the day? Are we turning water to wine? What does Teri have to celebrate a great trade?
You know what? To tell you the truth, I need help finding a really good cocktail because I haven't found
I'm
anything
your
that's just
girl.
tasty. I'm not. I don't mind drinking, but everything tastes like medicine to me, and I'm like, I'm not subjecting myself to drink.
Shenanigans.
Right. like alcohol. What's the medicine that your mama used to always make you drink when you were feeling bad?
Alka
NyQuil.
Seltzer. Not,
NyQuil. Yeah.
okay, I gotta get you to Miami. I gotta get you to Miami and put you on to some proper cocktails.
Yes.
Don't you worry about it. I'm going to find you something to get you right, and we're gonna praise Jesus at the same time.
That'll
Don't you
work.
worry
That'll
about
work. As long as it tastes good, then I'm down for it. Let's go.
it. Deal. That is hilarious. That is the first time anybody has ever said that on this show. That's the first. Okay, in that case, of all the avenues where people can launch side hustles and make more money from e-commerce, Airbnb, Turo, all the things, why is trading like a great route for us to take and generate income and wealth?
Yeah. So remember when I first started trading like full time, it was really just I needed to replace my income. And I think that's
Mm,
what people forget. Like they think of investing and they think, oh, it's only long term, it's only for retirement. But actually, you can use trading to replace like a side hustle. You can have goals of, I want to just I have one student, she wants to make $100 a month so she can go get a massage. How do you use, right? Isn't that great?
that's so
How
cute.
do you use the money in your account to make enough to just
Mm,
give yourself a massage? Or for me, it was travel. How do I make enough to afford my trip to Greece? I needed $3,500 to pay for the hotel, the flights, and the food, right? You can actually use the money in your account to afford that. And so that's where I think the difference is. Like knowing that you don't have to work an extra hour, you don't have to do heavy lifting. You can do it whenever
mm,
you want to. It's a skill set, so you can turn it on and off. If you're busy, don't trade. But if you have time, girl, pick up the phone, look at your stocks, see what's going on, and let's make some money real quick. It's something that you get to
mm.
decide the ceiling. There is no boss that tells you this is your salary. No, I decide how much I want to make. I decide how much I want to work. I decide when and where I want to work. All those things from trading. So that's why I trade.
I love that. I think that is brilliant because I'm not interested in anything that means I have to be somewhere at a certain time.
Right.
I have to deal with extra people I don't want to deal with.
Mm-mm.
Like, give me the businesses and the income that I can make from my phone on a beach somewhere in Abu Dhabi, like with a
Yes.
cocktail. That's more my energy. And even I know day trading exists, but I'm from that school too of you buy it and you forget it. Set it, forget it. This is retirement money. I'm never going to see it again. I just pay into it and it grows on its own. I've never think about trading as a way to replace income.
Yeah, like it's crazy because you think of some of the stocks, like I'll just give an example, like Facebook. Facebook is a great company. I know it's had its issues, so this is disclaimer. Education purposes only. I'm not telling you what to invest in.
Right.
But like we think about Facebook, and recently their earnings came out and they dropped 100 points. If you were invested in them, your portfolio just dropped like crazy and you had no control over it. And you're just like
Right.
hoping that it comes back up. But if you're a trader, then you could have actually sold when it was higher. Now that it's come back down, you can get in at a better position, make some money on that. Like stocks don't just go up. They go up and down and you can trade in and out of that for income. So that's the
Hmm.
important part. It's not that you're not invested in this company. I think it's going to I'm, again, like I said, disclaimer, but I think Facebook is going to be around for a long time.
It's not going
For
anywhere.
Meta,
Meta
right?
is not going to be dissolving anytime soon. The metaverse is booming. It's not going anywhere,
Right.
guys.
So a long-term investor would say, I'm investing in Facebook for the long term. A short-term investor would do the same. I'm investing in Meta for the long term, but I'm just trading in and out of my position to make some money now so I can live off of it.
See, that's why I need to get the course, because I need that tea. I need to
Yes.
figure out how to do that. I need to add that to my portfolio. Love it, love it, love it, love it. What do you wish that you knew about trading before you got into the market? When it was 2010, when you were just getting started, brand new as a school teacher, assistant principal, what do you wish somebody would have told you?
I wish they told me you can make money on the way down. Like, man, this um war is such a crazy word, but this like international politics issue and the market coming down has been fabulous for traders because you can make so much money as the stocks are falling, and they're like great companies, no reason why they're going down but political issues, and they're falling. I wish in the beginning I had known that that was possible. When I first started trading, I thought the only way to make money was when it was going up.
Was for the numbers to go
Right.
up. Okay, gotcha, because that's reasonable. That makes sense.
It makes sense. However, it is not true. All these people out here,
It don't make dollars. Is
right?
What you saying.
That part. All these people out here that are like balling and billionaires, and they make money when the market falls, and it falls so fast. They make money super fast. That's something I wish I had known about.
Okay, we're gonna have to get back into this Get Rich Crew. We're going to have to learn more about it, because I am a big fan of making money on the left and the right. On the same thing, we're gonna make money when we buy and when we sell. Like,
yes, exactly.
that's kind of my love language right now.
I love it. I love it. But yes, like
This is good information to know.
up and down. You can like honestly, you don't have to have a lot of stocks in order to do well. You could trade a few companies and just know them really well, and then trade them when they go up and down, and you'll be set for life.
We love the term set for life. Okay, so with the stock market being such a long, massive platform with a proven track record, what do you think is holding our people back from diving in and getting their piece of the pie? Why are we late to the game on this one?
You know, there's a CNBC article that said the wealth gap grew over the last 2 years because Black people were
Of
not
course it
invested
did.
over the last 2 years, and the market went crazy. Like last year, S&P 500 went up 26.9%. If you were just invested in the overall index of the S&P 500, you didn't even.
You would have had 27% more
Right,
money.
exactly. And you know, I think it's because of a few things. There's a few myths in the Black community. One is that the stock market is a gamble, and you're just throwing stuff at the wall, seeing if it sticks.
To see what
And that's
sticks.
not true. The way that I trade, we look at a chart. We have 7 steps that we follow every time. We actually look at our
It's a
reward.
system.
Yeah, it's a system. It's hot. Like, we look for high probability trades. And yes, it's not gonna be perfect every time, but if you're able to calculate your reward and your risk ahead of time, it's not a gamble anymore. You're making an educated decision, right? So
Got
people
it.
don't know that. Another thing that people think is that you have to have a lot of money to trade. Like, oh, I gotta have a ton of money. The rich people. I talked to one of my friends, and she was saying, you know what, Terry, I just thought that it was only for rich people and that I wasn't allowed to do it.
Oh,
Yeah, and I think
that makes me sad.
it's a mindset thing, right? Like, we just assume that, oh, those people over there can invest and not me.
And that they're different from us in some type of way.
Exactly.
And they're not.
Not at all. They're not different at all. So knowing that you can start right now, if you open a brokerage account, there's certain brokerage accounts you can start with like $0. The ones that I use are a little bit more robust. They usually start with like $500. But you can start
But that's still not a crazy amount of money. Like, people will spend $500 getting a fresh sew
on a
in.
purse.
I bought that PlayStation 5.
Yep.
You got those new purses. So let's get into it. Like, this is an investment into the well-being and the financial scope of your life. So I don't think $500 is crazy at all.
Exactly. And the cool thing too is I think a lot of people think they're going to lose. Like, that's another fear. Well, if I get in, I'm going to lose all of my money. But there's actually something called a simulator where you can practice before you actually start using real money. That takes a lot of the weight off too. Like, start getting educated, start practicing. When you notice that you're good, then you start using your real money. So you don't have to be afraid that, oh, I'm going to lose everything. No, boo, there's risk management tools that I could teach you in trade and travel. And there's also a simulator where you can practice before you get started. So you don't have to be worried that that's your fate. Like, oh man, this is gonna, no, girl, you good. Um,
I love that. I love that simulator idea too, because this is a skill. It does take practice. It's not a thing that I think anybody should jump into with their real money that they actually need to survive on. And I don't think anybody should be jumping in with the rent money,
right.
y'all. We're not diving in with the rent money. We're diving in with other money that we don't necessarily need to live on,
Yeah, I
right?
agree. There's a like I feel like the last couple of years there was this hype that, oh my God, if you get into the market, you'll be rich. And so people were just throwing everything in there. And I'll tell you the truth, like I'm a trader, so most of my money is in trading. I don't have like, well, this percent goes into long term and this percent goes into trading. Girl, if I can make some money off of it, I'm going to be trading. But that's because I'm good at it.
Period.
I have a
Exactly.
78%.
And you put 12 years in the
right
game.
reward rate, like a win
Gotcha.
rate. I'm good at it. But what I will say is when you first start, there is a higher probability that you will take some losses because you're just
Of
starting.
course.
It's
Like
anything.
anything.
Like if you're learning a new
Mm-hmm.
language, you're probably going to say the wrong
Mm-hmm.
thing to somebody and they're going to look at you crazy.
Yeah.
If you
It's a part of the game.
if you're learning to ride a bike, you're going to fall sometimes. So when you first start, just know that you will have some losses. So you don't want to put your last into this right when
Dollar
you're
into it.
starting. You need to
Yeah.
have some cushion. This is your play money. This is money that you're not afraid to lose. And the thing about it too is trading is emotional. So when you first
Mm.
start trading and you're dealing with your money and you see it going up and down, your heart,
You get nervous, excited, fearful,
everything. When it's green, you can be like, oh my God, I made some money. Let me take it out now. And you probably should have let it stay in there. And then when it's
and made some more
right,
money.
and then when it's going down, you're gonna be like, I don't know what to do. I feel so defeated. And you're gonna like let it stay when you should be taking it out. Like we always do the wrong thing because of our emotions.
Mm.
But because of that, in the beginning, you definitely need to be using money that you don't need. And don't think that like I'm gonna right away be amazing. That's another just mistake that I see a lot of new traders make. They think that I'm gonna come in here and be amazing right off the bat, and I'm like, boo, this takes time. Like, give your like
A lot of time.
it's easy to learn, and I think that's one of the reasons why so many people start trading because the barriers to entry are gone. Like, it's no commission. You can
Mm.
open an account fast. But it takes
Mm.
about a year, I think, to be consistent. So you need to just get started and then working and practicing over time.
Okay, I think that's really good advice. Okay, get rich crew. And that goes for anything, any expert that I bring on the show. When they are teaching you guys something new, I think that is a great parameter. It's going to take a year. Just dive into it, enjoy it, be a novice. Don't be scared to be a beginner. So many people are so scared to fail. They're so scared to look like a beginner. Nobody's watching you. Nobody's clocking you but you. It's just between you and your finances. Don't sweat it. Teri was a beginner. I was a beginner. Everybody that comes on this show was a beginner. The difference is we didn't give up. We kept going and kept learning and investing in our education, and we wound up winning in the end. But it is a journey. Don't think any of these people that come on here are overnight successes, or they didn't cry when they lost or failed or whatever they did. They just got back up. So where would a person go to get started? What is day one? I want to learn how to trade. Where do I show up? Obviously trade and travel.
Yeah.
What other places can they go to tap in? Where can they try this simulator?
I was gonna say definitely get your education first. That's something that I didn't even do for six. So I've been trading 12 years. For the first 6 years, I was trying to figure it out by myself. And y'all, I was
Oh,
losing more than
wow.
I was winning because I was trying to figure it out. And I called myself smart, so I'm like, well, I'm going to figure out my own algorithm.
I went to
And
MIT. I got this.
got this.
Right.
I know these things. I can do this, girl. Psh, bye.
Teri, you wasn't even YouTubing it?
I
Nothing?
was looking at CNBC, which is one of the first steps I tell people to do. Like I was looking at
Okay,
CNBC.
start watching Come on, Wolf
You get
Blitzer.
right, Jim Cramer, all them people. I was listening to the news and trying to figure it out. But the thing is, you have to remember that when you're looking at financial news, it's a little bit late. Like
Right.
I talked to some people on
It's
the
not like live like the charts are right now, because
right.
they have to prepare it and report it. Okay,
Exactly.
gotcha.
And even I was listening to Jim Cramer, and I was like, oh, he's the Jesus of trading. He's the expert. But you have to remember that he can't talk about things that are actually in his portfolio right now. So by the time he says it, the move has either already happened
done,
or you're early to the game. And I didn't know that. I thought, well, if he's saying it, then this is the right time. Let me get it right now.
The Bible.
So that's why the first thing to do is definitely get your education so that you can know how to trade for yourself. But then the second thing, I do think you need to start looking at financial news and CNBC so that you can start learning the terms. Some of the stuff is just like being familiar. What happens when there is political unrest? What happens to the stock market? What happens during earnings time when companies report how they've been doing? That happens 4 times a year. What happens when a CEO gets fired or there's a stock split, like Google's stock split? Like, what happens? Some of that is just about being aware and start watching CNBC, watching the financial channels so that by the time you do start investing, you're like, okay,
you at least have a familiarity with what means what, and things start to click a lot better.
I've heard this before. I've heard these words before. And then I do think, like, on Trade and Travel, we have a lot of stuff on our YouTube channel too. So if people aren't able to buy the course yet, at least start looking at those type of videos too. I do think that's helpful.
I love that. I think that's great advice, y'all. Like, cut 30 minutes off of Netflix and put it on CNBC and just absorb the information. Let it play in the background. Listen in your car and start absorbing these terms so that you're not so overwhelmed when you get started. I think that is stellar advice. Okay, so I love to tell people that the God I serve doesn't want me to suffer. That's why I be balling, okay? And, people beef with me about that, but I said what I said. And I'm bringing that to you because I know that you are a woman of faith and a woman of finances. And I love that. But I see so many people struggle with feeling like they have to take this vow of poverty, or that money is dirty, or money's not clean, or greed is a bad thing, or prosperity is a bad thing. And in my opinion, God delights in our prosperity. He wants us to win. So give me the Teri scoop on what it is to be financially whole and still whole with the Lord.
Yeah. Well, so I always talk about, there's a couple stories in the Bible, and y'all, even if you don't believe in the Bible, I think these stories are important. Like, parables are good for everybody. So there's one I talk about a lot that talks about the story of the talents, and that's with a master comes and he gives like 10 talents or 5 talents to one person, 2 talents to another, 1 talent to one. The two with the 5 talents and the 2 talents, the Bible actually says they went immediately and traded with them and doubled their money. And and the master's like, you know what? I'm so proud of you. You were faithful over a few things. Now I can put you in charge of many things, right? Well done, my good and faithful servant. That's the story that comes from. And then the one with 1 talent, he actually was so afraid that he'd lose the 1 talent. He went and buried it in the ground. And
and didn't use it.
Yeah, didn't use it at all, because he was like, I knew that when you came back, I wanted to make
it's so
sure.
Precious that I can't touch it.
So the master comes back and he's like, you lazy servant. He's like, you know that you could have at least invested it and made some interest on it. You could have put it in the bank and made some interest in it, but you just hid it.
Wait, that's in the Bible? That's
in the Bible. Yes, it is in Matthew. I'm gonna give you, I don't want to say it wrong on these national airways.
Yeah,
but
we'll put it, don't worry,
give it
we'll
to
put
you
it in the show notes.
Yes, that is a whole story in the Bible.
I love that.
Yes, and the thing about it is, the one with the 1 talent, the Bible says that the reason why he buried it in the ground is because he was afraid. He was afraid to lose it. And I think so many of us, because of fear, we do bury our money,
bury our talents.
Yes, we try to put it and talents, guys. In that thing, a lot of times people will say talents as your gifts and different things, but also it's actually money. It was money that they were talking about. So because of fear, he had buried his money. And some of us are doing the same thing. We're putting it in a savings account because we just want to make sure it's safe and it'll be there when we come back to it. Or we're putting it under the ground. Because of fear, we're stuck.
But inflation doesn't work that way.
Exactly.
The bank is robbing y'all blind every day.
Even the Bible is like, look, I want you to make this money grow. And the coolest thing about it is in that story, the master talks about who he is. And he talks about how
Mm.
like he can make something out of nothing. He can make things grow. He can do all these things. So we as I'm putting myself in the story now, if I was one of the servants,
Mm.
we as servants shouldn't be afraid of trying to do more with our money because we know that we serve a master who can do all things.
Who can
Right.
multiply? I
So
love it. That is my type of
so
story.
good. I think another one, if you have a little time, but another one
Yes,
is
please.
there's this story where he's doing ministry, and it says that there's this really wealthy guy, and the wealthy guy runs up a tree because he couldn't see Jesus, and he just wants to see what's going on, right? And Jesus walks underneath the tree, and then he looks up and he calls him down. I think his name was Zacharias. He calls him down and says, "Hey, I'm staying at your house tonight." And the reason why the story matters so much to me is because the Bible says that there's this wealthy guy and Jesus is doing ministry, but then he decides to stay at this guy's house. And I just want to be a place where God can stay at my house.
Ooh. Oh.
Yes.
Oh. 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 Lord, that just hit me. Oh man. Oh man. I'm trying to be at a place where Jesus can stay at my house. Come on,
There's a
somebody.
lot of like ministry, there's a lot of good work going on in this world, and they need people who are wealthy where they can feel comfortable staying. We are the people that are going to take care of them. We're the people where they can come and find rest. Like we are pushing the ministry forward in ways that like in ways that couldn't be done otherwise, right? So I think
Mm.
that's the way that I view wealth. It's not about
I
me
love
doing this
that.
for
Put
me.
that on a t-shirt. Can Jesus stay at your house? Like, get wealthy, build the home, build the castle, build the prosperity, and then take that money and pour it over the people that you want to help the
Yes,
most.
exactly.
Oh, put that on the t-shirt. Yo, that just blew my mind. I love that. Are you a Reverend Ike fan by chance?
No, who's that?
Oh, girl, we got to talk after the show. Oh, baby, the way you just blessed me. I got a blessing for you guys. I will tag Reverend Ike in the show notes. He is dead and gone, but he is the prosperity guru of life. I cannot wait to introduce you. Get Rich Crew, y'all already know the vibes. I will tag my favorite video in the show notes. Oh man, I love that so much. Okay, so my other question for you is I heard that women make better investors. Is this true in your experience? What is it about us that makes us better investors? And then if we know we're better investors, why are we still intimidated by getting in the
Ooh.
market?
Oh, okay. Let's start with the second question first. Why are we intimidated? I think because society
Yeah.
has groomed us to feel like we're less than, like that men are better with
Mm.
money and that they can handle the wallet. And girl, both of us know that that ain't true.
The devil's a lie.
Right. That is not true at all. Like we can handle our own better than anybody else can handle stuff for us, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think personally that's part of just conditioning that oh the men are better with that, so I'm just not even going to deal with it.
Got it.
But
Mm-hmm.
then, so in Trade and Travel, we have over 16,000 students. And the last time we did a survey, over 60, I think 64% of them were women. So more women than men. And I will say, thank you. I
Go,
will say
ladies.
we are killing it. We are killing the game. One, because we're able to follow instructions. A man, he pull up some instructions and act like I could do this by myself. No.
I'm dead, y'all. I am dead. We follow instructions. Okay, step one, we follow instructions.
Like
Heard.
literally
Yeah.
in Trade and Travel, I give 7 steps. If you can follow the 7 steps, you can do this.
You'll be good to go. But the men don't follow. They don't even read the
Girl,
7
they
steps.
on step
Okay,
one trying to
gotcha.
fast forward to the end, like, oh, I'm good. And
To step
then when
7.
they mess
Got
up,
it.
they're like, oh, I gotta go back and redo.
Got it. See, you just painted a full picture for me of why we're better than they
Yeah.
are. Yep. Say less.
Yeah.
Okay. That
I
makes
do think
perfect
one
sense.
other thing is trading can be emotional, but I do think that women, we are like, even when there's a lot of stress going on, we're able to kind of still prioritize and tune into what needs to be done. Like, we can handle stress.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that that
Mm-hmm.
too is a thing. Like, when the market is doing its thing, you got to be able to still manage multiple things. And I think women, we can do that. Like,
Because that's all we do
that's
anyway.
what we're good
It's
at.
multitask.
So yeah, I think women we're naturally good at trading, but the world has told us that we're not, so we don't even try.
Come on, Get Rich Crew. We don't believe in that. we know better. Speaking of get rich, this entire episode is a get rich tip. But Teri, give me a get rich tip for the people. What should they be implementing in their financial lives today?
You know what? So I literally focus on stocks and options. That's the only thing that I teach. But I will say I want you guys to check out something called a stable coin. It's a crypto
Okay.
coin, but it's backed one for one by the dollar, by the US dollar. And it's like a savings account. It gives 6 to 8%, some places, depending on what broker you're using, can give 10% return just for your money sitting in stable coins. So look that up. One of the things Yeah,
Oh,
one of the things that I do is I trade with a portion of my money, and then when I start making, like, I've made $1 million in a day, so I make quite a bit. When I make
amen. Don't just sneak that in there. Don't sneak that in there. Don't mumble that one in there. Say that one more time from the top. How much did you make in a day,
over $1
sis?
million in a day trading stocks.
Come on, somebody. Come on,
Yeah.
somebody. $1 million in a day. That is
Yes.
massive. Okay, so on top of the $1 million a day, we're gonna put some
Yeah, so
into.
whenever I my account gets too big, then I'll start moving some over and, like we say, diversify, and I'll put some in a stable coin so it'll still make that percentage even if I'm not looking at it. So that's just a tip. Check out something called a stable coin.
I'm going to do that the second we get off this show. I am going to link what I find for you guys, Get Rich Crew. You know I always do that. And I love, I say this all the time. I love passive income. Nothing makes me happier than to just put some money somewhere and it grows without me doing anything. So I absolutely will be tapping into
Yeah.
stablecoin. So to pivot a little bit, I am newly a course creator. Like, I'm on year 1 of course creation. Shout out to all my students in the Lux Life Academy. Love y'all. Kiss, kiss. Thank you. I love course creation, and your course, Trade and Travel, is the #1 course on Teachable. First of all, how is that even a thing? Like, congratulations. That is massive. There are so many courses out there, and yours is #1. So guys, if you are looking for a place to learn 100x of what Teri just dropped on us today, not only is Trade and Travel the place to go because it just is, and it has put so many people in a position to change their lives, but on top of that, it's the #1 course on the biggest course platform. How did you do it?
So many things.
I
And
need
what's
to know.
crazy, the other day I looked, I've been the #1 course for the past 3 years. Like, since 2019, I've been the #1 course.
That is
Yeah.
insane. That is like, my mind is melting. That is so
Yeah.
massive. Give me the scoop. How can I be like you when I grow up and make my course
A
#1?
couple things is, one, just get your people the results. I think sometimes people think I started with 1 million students. I started with 2 students. When I first decided, okay, this is real. Like, actually, I taught my first class in Thailand, so I was traveling. Like, I really was just trading stocks and traveling around the world.
Trading
So I
and
taught the
traveling.
first one
Right.
in Thailand. It was in person to a small group. Then I taught the next one in Vietnam. And then people on IG saw me. So when I came back to the States, I taught another class. So it just kind of grew in person.
In person.
Yep. And then
At the
2
time.
of the
Okay.
people in my last in-person class were like, we want to learn more. And I had to think of a number in my head. I didn't even have a course at the time, but I had heard, well, just tell them you have a course.
Right.
So I was like, okay, well, it's $2,000, but I'll do 50% off if someone wants to buy it. Girl, I'm thinking nobody is going to buy this. 2 people bought the course. Didn't
A course
exist
that
at
didn't
all.
exist yet. I love it. I love it.
Yeah.
I live.
So then I was like,
for that.
oh, shoot. Okay, well, I guess I got to go. Right, I
And
got
now I have to go
teach
make
them.
one.
So I poured everything into teaching those 2 people. I tried to make sure that, like, okay, what is it that I do? Let me try to break it down into slides. And the good thing is, because I came from education, I really was like curriculum based. Like, okay, how do I put this into a
Right.
curriculum? How do I make it into slides? Because, a lot of courses, they just get on there and talk. And I'm like, no, like, my people need, this is a lesson. There's a lesson plan. So
Got you.
one, again, we talked about being faithful over a few things. Even with your students, when you first start, give them all you got, and then just record everything you're doing so that you can use it again. Like, I think that's key #1. 2, have a concrete outcome. I think one of the things that made my course blow up was when I started the $1,000 in a day campaign. We needed some way to see that our students, which are adults into their 70s, but that our students are learning. Like, how do I know that they actually understood?
Have a
Yeah.
tangible
So if they're
outcome.
able to realize a profit of $1,000 or more in a day, then we know, okay, they mastered my invest with Teri strategy, right? So that's another thing. If you can have a tangible result, that's really good. And then what's cool is I didn't know that it would blow up like that because people started posting their plaques. We did plaques. They started posting their plaques online and taking pictures. They were excited and I was excited too. So that I think also helps. And then the third thing I would say, because I know you said that you're first in courses, so I want to make sure I give you some good stuff. Partner with people. You do not have to do this by yourself. And don't think that people that are teaching the same thing are your competitors. There are literally churches on every corner, and somebody decided that this pastor is
Yep.
the one for them because they talked the way that they needed to hear it, right? So
They related
I
to
do,
it.
like, we have this thing, actually it's coming up in the summertime, Master the Trade conference. And I've had like all the other traders that teach trading partner up with us because if you like me, you're going to come to me, and that's okay. If you like them,
Right. There's room for all of us. There's enough money
right.
for all of
So don't
us.
be afraid to partner. Don't think you have to do this in a silo. Entrepreneurship is lonely enough. So the people that are
Yes,
doing this are
amen.
your friends. Like, they're the ones who are going to get it. So I would say
Your
that too. Like,
peers.
don't be afraid to do partnerships and really partner with people.
Those are some great tips. I'm going to be implementing them all because clearly you know what you're talking about. 3 years in, crushing it. And to anybody out there who is even considering digital products, please
Yeah.
do it. Digital products are life changing. Put that ebook out, put that course out, put that episode, that webinar out, because there are so many people who are waiting for you to deliver that message. Like, you've been blessed with something and it's a blessing to be a blessing. So share that energy, put somebody else on, and digital products can change your life. They've changed mine. I know that they've
Yeah, for
changed yours,
sure.
Teri. Like, we love a good digital product, y'all. Get started. And you just got some amazing game from like the queen of course creation. Oh, I'm such a fan of that. So the people need a get rich read to close it out today. What book has changed your life or changed your business that you can recommend for the
You know what? The
people?
first one that came to my mind today was Who Moved My Cheese? So y'all go check that one out. It's about a, like, I'm go girl, as soon as I say this out my mouth, I'm like, this don't sound right. But it's about a mouse.
The title is throwing
It's
me
about a
already.
mouse that's trying to get through a maze. But I think it's really
Okay.
important. Like, it reminded me about being able to adapt to change and being flexible. So I think that's a really good book, especially for anybody both in trading and entrepreneurship. Who Moved My Cheese?
Okay. That is an interesting title that I
And
have
it's
to
short
Google it and
too.
see
It's a
what
short
that is
read, so
about.
yeah.
Okay, we love a short read. Because God knows I'm like 18 books deep into my list and I never get to finish them because I always start a new one. So I'm trying to be better, and a short read will definitely help me do that. Oh, Teri, I knew you were going to drop gems on the people. I'm overwhelmed. Like, now I got to go read the story from the Bible. I got to get the mouse book. Like, I got to get my trading account popping. You giving me a lot of homework. You giving the Get Rich crew a
Let's
lot of
go. The
homework
point
here.
is to get rich, and people don't get rich doing nothing. You got to work for that. Let's go.
Period. Okay, you heard it from Teri here first. You gotta do something to get to the bag, to get to success. It does not fall into your lap. It didn't fall in mine. It didn't fall into Teri's. We are perfect examples of women who just decided to go for it, and everybody listening can go for it too. Whew, this was a pleasure. Thank you so much, Teri. Guys, I will have all her information, of course, linked for you in the show notes, links to Trade and Travel, links to the books, links to all the things. Continue the conversation with me on Instagram and let me know what you learned and get started on them
Thanks for
trades.
having me. This was great.
It was a pleasure. All right, guys. Peace. Thank you so much for tuning in today. If you've learned something amazing, let's continue the conversation. Follow me on Instagram at Get Rich or Get Drunk Trying and tell me what you took from today's show. Then tap in at getrichorgetdrunktrying.com to get all the details and links from today's episode. I cannot wait to get rich with you next time. Until then, peace.